Salutations and welcome to Space Time Continues. I am Mary Louise Davey and let's get started. Let's go to space. Today I'm going to cover several topics. Let's start out with Alpha Centauri. The Alpha Centauri system is by far the most interesting because it's also the closest. And it's got some really cool things going on, and it's got some awesome things that some people have planned. So, to understand it better, let's start back at the beginning. In 1689, a Jesuit monk named Jean Richard was heading to Puducherry, India, to view a comet, a passing comet, in the observatory there. What he found was a little more than he bargained for. He made a discovery. He found Alpha Centauri A and Alpha Centauri B. Now, just a side note, Alpha Centauri A, capital A, and Alpha Centauri B, capital B. So Alpha Centauri B, capital B, that means it's a star. If it were Alpha Centauri, capital B, small b, that means it's a planet circling the star Alpha Centauri B. Alpha Centauri B, C, means it's a planet, but it's circling the star B. Okay? So again, that's what he found. Alpha Centauri A, Alpha Centauri B. But he didn't find any planets. Because back in 1689, telescopes were not that strong. Not strong enough to view planets and things beyond. Especially because here's the star. The planet is not in the Goldilocks zone. Not in the spot that we like to call the Goldilocks zone because it's the just perfect for life. It's more in the lava planet type zone. So we can't see it. The bright light overshadows the fact that there's a planet there. So, back then, 1689 discovered two stars, no planets. So, move on through history and go to the early 20th century. Now, in the early 20th century, science fiction was just becoming a genre. Prior to that, people might write a book one book out of 20 books might be a sci-fi related one, or occasionally a sci-fi story or something along those lines. But as a genre itself, it really wasn't something that people were used to or people would stick to, where there'd be an author who only wrote science fiction. Now, also during this time, there is another discovery made, Proxima Centauri. Well, now, they thought back when Alpha Centauri was discovered, it was the closest to our system. Well, then they found a star even closer, Proxima Centauri. And then they looked at this, what they thought was a binary system, and they said, well, wait, there's a third star. Is it a trinary system? Could it be 3 stars? Now, keep in mind, again, they don't know any planets out there right now. They just know stars. So we've got 2 stars that circle around each other every 80 years. And then we have this Proxima Centauri, this new one, that circles around every 500,000 years, which is probably why we didn't identify it sooner, or Jean Richard didn't see it. So, okay, now back to the sci-fi part. In 1922, George Babcock wrote Yazad, A Romance of the Unknown, and it took place in several locations. And one of those locations was a planet in the Alpha Centauri system. Although we did not know of one, he wrote of it. Now, prior to this, all sci-fi stories have been in the solar system, around the sun, or Venus, or Mars, or Earth even. But now they're writing about planets, Alpha Centauri. Well, at least George Babcock was the first. Now, others they were pretty much sick of writing about the solar system, so they've branched out. Gene Roddenberry, in 1967, wrote several Star Trek episodes that took place in Alpha Centauri, a planet within the Alpha Centauri system. Okay, now fast forward one last time, second to last time, to 2007-2008, to Chile. Chile, where they have the Very Large Telescope, the VLT. And I swear to you, that is what it's called, the Very Large Telescope. And this Very Large Telescope is actually made up of 4 telescopes. Now, this Very Large Telescope They have chosen to spend their time looking at the Alpha Centauri system and discovering things about the Alpha Centauri system. And what they have found is Alpha Centauri B, sub B, B, sub C, B, sub D. So they found all these planets in there, but they found something else. They found something they weren't sure what it was. They can't tell what it is. They need an upgrade. Now, this very large telescope is actually optically, as far as regular telescopes that you look through, it's the most advanced on this planet. But that wasn't strong enough for them to see what they needed to in the Alpha Centauri system. And so what did they do? They said, oh, we got to get an upgrade. Well, how are we going to get that? You have any idea how expensive that is? Well, fast forward to 2015, and an organization called the Breakthrough Initiatives. Now, Breakthrough Initiatives was formed by Yuri Milner. Yuri Milner is a Russian venture capitalist. Now, he formed it for one main reason. He wants to go to the Alpha Centauri system. Actually, he doesn't want to go there. He wants to send a spacecraft all the way to Alpha Centauri. Now, Alpha Centauri being 4.27 light years away, you're talking that equals 6 trillion times 6 trillion miles. You're talking, well, it's not going to happen in any of our lifetimes, unless he also has a plan to use an Earth-based laser, using the photons, push the CubeSat type spacecraft all the way out to Alpha Centauri. And it will get there in, say, 20-something years. Now, that's a time frame any of us could live with. So, he plans this. He formed Breakthrough Initiatives. So, Breakthrough Initiatives now is very interested in helping out Chile and the Very Large Telescope. So, Chile, the Very Large Telescope, and the ESO, who takes care of that and runs the organization who runs that, okay, they're all in together. And they're all going to get the upgrade. They're going to keep on looking. They're going to find these cool planets, these additional planets, what's going on in Alpha Centauri system. And then Yuri Milner is going to send his spacecraft to the Alpha Centauri system. And that is a tale of Alpha Centauri. And the tale's not over. I'm hoping later this year I can tell you of some new discovery or something that they have found out there. Stay tuned. I have something to tell you. I have looked through not one, not two, 3 or 4, or even 5. I've looked through a lot of other books not covered here. And guess what I found? Did you know that Pluto is a planet? Oh, Pluto isn't a planet. See, these books were done a while ago. And so they still say Pluto's a planet, but you and I know better. We know that in 2006, it got demoted. It got demoted. Well, Michael Brown's the person who's been taking the blame, but it was actually an International Astronomical Union that said, well, look, these are the rules, and it's got to follow these rules, and if it doesn't meet this criteria, then it's not a planet. It's a dwarf planet. So, okay. Michael Brown, by the way, was involved in the decision, and Michael Brown's daughter was unhappy with him, as were millions of school kids. But Pluto's not a planet. He did discover the planet Eris, but the planet Eris was another dwarf planet, so it didn't quite make up for the demotion. But then he discovered very, very, very recently theoretical Planet 9, theoretically. So, theoretical Planet 9. How did we discover it, or how did he discover it? Well, there are certain things in the Kuiper Belt and out basically around, because they're saying way out Planet 9 is. So all these things are being impacted gravitationally as if there were some body going around in that location. So the way they're being affected, it's basically figuring it out in reverse. If you know if this body's got this much size and mass, then it's going to have this effect on these. So what effect are we experiencing here? Okay, so then that tells us that it's probably equal to the size of 4 Earths. Okay, so theoretically, we have this planet going around out there and just messing everything up. Well, not messing it up, but setting things moving in all different ways. Okay, well, while they're looking into that, where do they think it came from? Glad you asked. Okay, right now, the main theory, the pervasive one, is that it's a rogue planet. That it was a rogue planet zooming through several solar systems, basically zooming through the universe. Really fast speeds. And just not linked to anybody. And then our solar system pulled it in, sucked it in. So we had enough pull from our sun to give it a home. That's the current belief. It started off with a different belief. When it was first found, the thought was that perhaps it was an inner solar system planet and it got kicked out by the other solar system planets. Because, and this is why, they say that theoretically, the theoretical planet is made of rock and ice. And you know, when you go further out the solar system, you don't find that rock and ice thing so much, or at least the rock thing. You find more gas planets. So it was formed inner solar system and then kicked to outer solar system. So that was the belief prior to the other one. Well, there is good news in this. Theoretical planet 9, theoretically, it will be found if it exists, if it's out there. We will find it sometime, I would imagine, 6-8 months from now. And when we do, I'll let you know, because I think that's kind of cool. Now, here are my suggestions for names. Call it Pluto and change the name of the dwarf planet Pluto. And now all these books are still correct. So, Emily, I'm wearing my spacesuit and I'm on the moon. No? Okay. So, you asked, why are all these people, these commercial entities, interested in going to the moon? I mean, after all, it's just a big rock, right? Well, no, it isn't. It's actually got tons of resources. I mean, tons of resources. And the biggest one of which is helium-3. Helium-3 can be used in, well, they think can be used. There's that word theoretically again, okay? Theoretically can be used in a fusion reactor, or a nuclear reactor for that matter. But they haven't successfully gotten it to work in tests, but they still anticipate that it can be used, and so there are quadrillions and quadrillions of dollars worth on the moon. Now, what it is it comes in the solar wind, comes down towards the Earth, hits the Earth, bounces off because we have that magnetic shield, and then lands on the moon. So it's now on the moon, and in part of the regolith is mixed in around. So that's why we have helium-3 up here, and as I said, there's quadrillions worth. Now, that's why they're spending, everybody can afford to spend billions and billions of dollars, because with quadrillions, there's tons of money to go around as well. Now, also there's radioactive thorium on the far side of the moon, and there's a whole bunch of other resources available. But helium-3 is the main reason that you're looking for. That's the answer. Okay? So, Valentine's Day is coming soon, and with that come a number of launches. We're having the Falcon 9 SpaceX launch. It's a delivery mission to the ISS. That'll be from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Then we have one from French Guiana at the Ariane 5 from Intelsat. From India, we have the PSLV Cartosat 2D. It's a high-resolution Earth Observatory polar satellite. And then we go to February 22nd. We have the Soyuz Progress. That's also a cargo delivery to the ISS. And February 28th, we have Falcon 9, EchoStar 23. It's a communications satellite. That's also launching from Kennedy Space Center. So lots and lots of launches, and that's just this month. There's more every month coming up. and hopefully I'll have some tape on those launches. And actually, I'm on a waiting list for a media spot to see one of them so I can get you up close and personal. Now, I also had planned on talking about NASA and 2017 in this episode, but as you know, we have a new president, and with the new president come a lot of changes. Each president, no matter who they are, no matter what party, comes in and says, no, we're going to go to the moon, no, we're going to go to Mars, no, we're going to go to this, no, we're going to do that, we're going to concentrate on this. So there's always changes every time there's a new president. But this time is a little more because there's also the possibility of the changes with regard to climate change. Climate change, as you know, was removed from all the websites with the exception of NASA's. Now, NASA has a number of missions ongoing that are observing various changes, be it with the ice up at the pole or different things, areas in which climate change is occurring. But now they're no longer going to be monitoring that, I suppose, but I don't know for sure. So until the president announces the changes he's going to make, we can't really cover them. But I can really hope for space exploration getting big because President Trump has mentioned that he loves space exploration. He's very in favor of going to the moon, going to Mars. Okay, so if he's not in favor of climate change, he may just throw that money into the space exploration pot, and then we'll get there sooner and go farther and do all sorts of wonderful things. So it actually is a very exciting time in NASA. So let's see where it goes. I'll be sure and update you on it all when we have an idea as to where it's going. Now also, I'd intended to start my Astronaut special during this episode, but as I've been researching it, I have found so many wonderful things. I don't know if I'm going to do a special show only on astronauts or if I'm going to just make it a continuing one, but I found out so many things because, as you know, I like to go back to the beginning. And when I went to the beginning and I went through, I was finding all these odd, crazy things that they get to investigate and research that astronauts need to know how to deal with and everything. And well, it's going to be a really exciting show when I get to the astronauts. It may be next show or I may be having a special on it. We'll see. In the meantime, if you have any questions, either leave them in comments here, send it on my blog site, send it on my website. However you get it to me, get that question to me and I'll make sure I answer it properly. For now, that's it, and I'll see you next time when space time continues.